scaling your business didn't mean working harder, sacrificing your life, or hitting a revenue milestone that doesn't align with your dreams? Stay tuned because we're going to talk about all of that. Welcome back. And if you're new here, I'm Jen Vazquez, and I help hyper-busy female service providers in their marketing with Pinterest so that they can book more clients, boost their income, and make a bigger impact. And I have the glory of being able to interview amazing marketing experts to be able to give you all of these actionable tips and insights. If that sounds like a vibe, then definitely subscribe either to the podcast or our YouTube channel. Today, I am so excited to be talking with Courtney Tarrant. Courtney is a COO and owner of The Ad Girls, a female-focused Facebook and Instagram advertising agency. She has built a thriving business by catering to female-focused online entrepreneurs with a unique messaging-first methodology that has created over $40 million in revenue for her clients. Courtney's focus on profit has created a boutique agency model with a consistent 35 to 40% profit margins, a team she loves, and a list of clients that she used to only dream about. In addition to working with clients, Courtney is passionate about sharing about her agency transformation journey from a business that ran her life to a business that not only supports her life, but one that she thoroughly enjoys. Welcome, Courtney. And I love that bio.
Thank
I
you.
feel everyone talks like about work-life balance, but I want a job that supports my life, not the other way around. So that resonated.
Yeah, same. I think we get really trapped sometimes we have like a vision of I've got to get to insert goal we made up for ourselves here, and we like kill ourselves getting there that we forget to enjoy the journey. Like the way there actually is a part of it. It like counts, you know?
Exactly. Well, let's talk about a journey.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your journey to where you are right now. What kind of jobs and things did you do, and how did you get to the business you're in now?
Right. I think that I have always been an entrepreneur because I did all of the jobs. In college, specifically, in high school, I had weird jobs. Like I worked at a pizza shop, I worked at a Renaissance festival. Like I was just like, whatever I could find. Like I would just do odd jobs here and there. And then once I got to college, I sort of like piecemealed together. I wanted to do fun things. So I piecemealed together like I would work at this outdoor education academy super part-time. And then I worked at a zip line. And then I worked at the college bookstore. And then I gave like campus tours. And I would just do all of the things because I could never stay super focused. Like if I was in one job and that was it, like I think that I would have gone crazy. And so my senior year of college, I applied to this super competitive internship program where I was fully in the best way, fully ruined for a corporate career because they worked inside of this environment called a results only work environment. And they like, it was my first real big girl job, right? And in a results only work environment, which is what I've based my company on now, meetings aren't mandatory. Coming to work isn't mandatory. You can work at whatever time. You have to be incredibly clear about the results that you're creating inside of your job. But if this meeting isn't going to further you getting that job complete, then like don't go. So it actually pushes everybody to be like working towards results and working towards like the same thing because I want my meetings attended, right? So I have to make sure that it's valuable for you and that it's actually helping you get your job done or you won't come. And so is this like very interesting structure. And after that, I tried to go into like a regular job where I like had to come into the office and sit at my seat. And I wasn't good at it. To be totally transparent, like I probably should have been fired because I was like responsible for answering the phones, a very reasonable, like out of college job. And I would like answer it and I would be like, okay, yeah, give me a second. And I would transfer it over to someone and I'd be like, I don't remember who it was, but I think they're on line 2. Like I was horrible at this job. And so I quit that and I moved to Europe. I was going to be an English teacher. That was what I was going to do. I was going to travel the world and be an English teacher. Hated that. So then I was like, okay, I've got to go back to the drawing board. And in 2013, there wasn't as much remote work available. Mm-hmm. So I created my own job and I began doing social media marketing strategies for people as a way to be able to travel and live wherever I wanted. And that teeny tiny business that I started in 2015 has evolved into I feel like I have this beautiful empire now. I own 3 businesses. I have an advertising agency. I have a coaching company where I teach other people how to run advertising agencies. And my business partner and I recently acquired a third operations company where we help women actually run their companies. Like we do all the boring stuff because we've learned how to run our agency and our company so well. We now help do that for other women so they can focus on their zone of genius. And so I'm still multi-passionate. I've still got a lot going on. And I think that's just how I always wanted it to be.
That's me. That's me. That's me literally in a nutshell. Like when I was in corporate America, I was in sales and marketing and I hated it. And I
Right.
was really good at it, but I
Mhm.
hated it.
Yeah.
And much to my husband's surprise, in 2009, I just gave notice and launched my photography business, which I had been doing on the side for years.
Right.
And now I have this marketing agency where we focus on Pinterest marketing. Like it's wild. And that's why I asked this question of all my guests, because I love to hear all about that. Let's touch on it now.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about your first experience and how you're running your company that way. What did you call it again? I don't
It's a
remember.
results only work environment. So it is like a
Oh,
formal thing that was created by these 2 women in the early 2000s, and I've never really seen it like catch on anywhere, but it works for us and it is incredible. And so it really is about clearly defining what are the results that you're creating with this position. And so for me at my agency, what that looks like for us is we pay our account managers per client that they manage. And so they can manage up to 6 clients, which means on average they should be spending, X amount of hours per
yeah.
client that they have per week in order to create the results that they want. And so instead of our problem being many marketing agencies, the problem becomes scope creep and how do you charge for this? And the hours are out of control. Our problem actually gets sort of internalized where if I have a person on my team actually spending too much time on that project, they're coming to me being like, I'm spending too much time on this project. What's going on? And we're like, oh, this is what's happening. We actually need you to have more support in developing that landing page, or we need you to get more support over here. And that's really where what we're focused on is these are the results that you are clearly responsible for creating. And then these are the resources that you have in your toolbox in order to create them. And so if my team is working too many hours, instead of them actually just charging me more hours, they're going to upsell. And this happens on autopilot now. They're going to upsell my clients into additional landing page services or email sequence rewrites because they don't want to spend their time doing it. So I get to reward results and efficiency and eliminate scope creep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That just really blew my mind.
Yeah.
That's so smart.
Thank you.
I would have thrived if
Yes.
that was the environment I was working in. And I
Mhm.
guess that's kind of how I run my agency now.
Mhm.
And with my employee, I just didn't put a word to it. But
Right.
that's really smart.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just got sidetracked, but it was a
Right.
great
Well,
sidetrack.
that work makes sense to me. Like, if you wanna go grocery shopping at 10 AM on a Tuesday, like, do that. As long as you're getting your work done, like, I don't actually care. And I think that you get to be happier. You get to, like, I want my place of work that I've created to be the agency that everybody loves working for. And I tell my team that that's not just my responsibility because I don't really know what you're doing day in and day out. There's a big
Yeah.
chalk factor there. They have to take big responsibility for what they're creating. But like I don't actually care if you need to take a nap at 2 p.m. on a Thursday. Like, is that going to make you more efficient? Are you going to do your job better? Are you going to love being here? Am I going to retain you longer? Amazing. That's great. I don't
Yeah.
own your time. I actually own the results that you're creating for my clients. And if my clients are having a great experience, my friend, structure your day however you want. I don't care. I want you to have the same freedom that I'm having. I want to create that for everybody because then there are so many people that are, I think, on the entrepreneur journey that like shouldn't be actually. They're not entrepreneurs. They don't need to be there in
No.
that seat. But if we had more cultures like this, they could actually do the thing that they're good at. And
Yes.
like
Because
that's what I want to create for people.
A lot of people start their entrepreneurial journey because they want time freedom.
Yeah.
If there were more jobs that allowed you, as long as you got your work done,
Thank
I like
you.
that a lot.
Yeah.
What is the biggest misconception about scaling that so many people just don't understand?
I think that there's only one way to do it. I think
There's a theme here. There's
there
a
is.
theme.
The theming, it's theming. I think that too often, and I get it, we wanna follow a blueprint and we wanna follow steps that work. Makes so much sense. And also, you are an individual person, and how you design your company and the way that you want to scale it, and even the point to which you need to scale it or that you wanna scale it to, it should be different actually because you're creating it. And I think that too often we are trying to follow a blueprint of either of a map, if you will, like of something that is either outdated or is an absolute wrong fit for our lifestyle that we are trying to create. And so in that, so often, and I think women do this especially, we actually sort of give away our sovereignty. We're like, I'm going to create a business that has freedom, and then we go and we follow somebody else's path that it's doing the opposite. It's giving all of my power and my sovereignty away to this person because they said that they know what they're doing. And I think that real power and effective coaching comes in and like understanding what is it that you want to create, and then let's help you create that because there isn't actually just one way to do it, and there shouldn't be. That's why we're all here and we're all different.
That is so true. So, so true.
Yeah.
So, you emphasize that scaling doesn't have to mean reaching seven figures.
Mhm.
So, what should entrepreneurs really focus on instead? Again, I think we're probably going along the same theme.
We're gonna go back. I'm gonna bring it back. Uh, whatever.
It's so old now, let's bring it back.
Yeah, we it's whatever you want your goal to be. I remember I was so dedicated in my career to making sure that my agency hit seven figures. I was like, I'm gonna hit seven figures, and I'm gonna hit seven figures, and I'm gonna hit seven figures. And for me, the reason, as I got closer and closer to that goal, the reason that I wanted to do it was just because I wanted to check it off. I just wanted to be able to say that I did it, right? And I think the problem with that, with goals that you have that are based on a check mark, is that your goalpost will continue to move as you get closer and closer to that thing. So as I hit seven figures, now I want to hit multi seven figures. Well, now I hit multi seven figures. Now I want to buy a company. Well, now I bought a company. Now I want to buy a different type of company. Like it's always shifting and it's always changing. And for me, something that I realized is that I actually am so multi-passionate that there will always be something new for me to draw my attention to. And the minute that I embraced that, the more I could be present along my journey of on my way to get to multi seven figures, what happened? And on my way to buying my first company, what happened? And really being able to enjoy, because I think what I missed in getting to my first goal of hitting seven figures was I started my business with this really small goal. If I just want to be able to go to a restaurant and not have to order the house wine, I want to order whatever wine I want.
Oh,
That was
that's
it.
a great goal.
It was, yeah. And then I got really distracted and I was like, now I have to hit seven figures and now I need to have a 10-person team and whatever. And there was a moment that happened not that long ago where I was out to dinner with some of my really good friends and I was telling this waitress what kind of wine I liked, and she brought out a bottle and I was like, let's take it. And I bought the bottle for the table and I put my credit card down and without opening the checkbook, and I had a moment where I was like, oh,
I did
it
it.
happened. It happened at some point. I stopped ordering the house wine and I couldn't tell you when, but like I was able to recognize like a moment where I was like, this has been my life for a while. I need to slow down. I need to show up.
Savor
Yeah,
that
yeah,
wine.
all of these things that I'm achieving and like enjoying the journey along the way. And so I think when we talk about like what is the goal, if it doesn't have to be seven figures, like I think we need to take more of an active look at what do you want your life to look like? Because if you want your life to look like working, let's say you want to work 10 hours a week and you want to make 20K a month. The best way for you to do that is not going to be growing a done for you agency with a 20-person team. You're going to eventually, you
No.
might get there, but it's a long, hard road. And so like the easier and faster path to get there may actually be number one, charging what you're worth. And then number two, like actually existing in or participating in consulting packages instead of a done for you service, right? Like really trying to understand what you want your life to look like before you are years and years into building something like an agency. That's where I was. I was years and years into building my agency when I remember sitting on the couch and just crying and being like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And like, if I had really examined what I wanted at the beginning of that journey, I don't think I would have gotten there. Now, I got there and then decided that I was going to put my big girl pants on and I was going to figure out how to make this life something that I loved. And it was really hard. But that tenacity of like really pulling myself up from the pits of whatever I was in it doesn't have, you don't have to get there. It's not actually necessary. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes we almost glorify that stage, that people feel like if they're crying about whether or not they're going to make payroll that somehow they've made it. But like it doesn't have to be that. Like we could actually make it easier, you guys. We could just, and I think it starts with that level of intentionality of really examining what do you want your life to look like and then reverse engineering from there.
I will totally double down on that.
Yeah.
Last year, I was trying to get six figures, right? Like that was not six figures, but like a good six figures,
Right.
right?
Like a
Not like a
multi-six.
barely making it
Yeah.
situation. But I have four adult children and I have four grandbabies. And
Mm.
so this year, my goal was to take every Tuesday off to play on the ground with my grandbabies. And I did it and I blew last year's numbers already. So I feel like you're right. If you have a goal that's personal to you, whether it's taking an extra day off during the week or whatever it is that you want to do, you'll find a way.
Yeah.
You'll find a way, but you'll focus on the happiness and not on the dollars.
Yes.
You were looking for the feeling of freedom of being able to order what you wanted that wasn't house wine,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I was looking for a way to have a successful business and still bring in the money that I need to live
Mhm.
and can put some away. And also, I can put my family first. And I think that's so important. And so many people don't consider that. So I'm very happy that you brought that up.
Yeah.
It's really close and personal to my heart.
Mhm.
Okay, how can entrepreneurs create boundaries, since we're talking about it,
Love it.
that can protect their time while scaling a business?
Yeah.
Not so easy.
Not the easiest path, especially if you are like me and you've maybe struggled with people pleasing and you want to be all things to all people. You have to retire that. I think my biggest lesson in entrepreneurship is really understanding that I am the valuable asset in this business. Without me, it doesn't exist actually. I drive all of the things. I am the creator in this. And so protecting my energy is the number one most important thing. And it is interesting. My business partner, who she and I got into partnership in 2021, and we couldn't be more different. I am a like 5'6", big blonde hair from Texas, and she is a 5 foot nothing, like short brunette from Queens. Like we are total
Love it.
opposites. Yeah, we are total opposites, and it works really well. That's, I think, in any business partnership, you want to be with someone that has complementary skills. You don't want the same skill set, right? So we really fit each other well. And I've never met anyone with stronger boundaries than that woman. She's like, I don't want to do that. It doesn't feel good to my energy.
You're
I'm
all
not going to do it.
ouch.
And you're like, okay. But existing in her field has given me permission to where I don't do that either. Like actually it doesn't feel good to have calls after a certain time of the day. And Fridays, I don't talk to people on Fridays. Like those are things,
Fridays and Mondays for
right?
me.
Those are things that actually protect my energy and allow me to continue to create and allow me to continue to drive all of this forward. And so I think, like everything we've been talking about, it's a very personal journey of where do you want your boundaries to lie and to sit. And if you struggle with that, something I did early in my career is I created like a fake person that would enforce my boundaries for me. So I had,
That's so good. I did that for my kids. I had them always use me
yeah.
if they needed some reason to say no to their friends, and they all did.
Yeah, exactly. And so like I had Brian who handled all of my billing. Also, men handling your billing, people respond differently to it. So
Isn't
Brian
that
handled
wild?
Mhm.
So
Brian
wild.
handled my billing. He was a made up person. And then I also had an assistant, Natasha, also made up, that would be like, Courtney is not available. I'm so sorry. I will be your go between. And so I would be like, oh, Natasha, yeah, she's the killer with my schedule. I'm so sorry. It was so fun, actually. It was like a little joke, but it's incredibly important to understand what your boundaries are and to also understand that this is a business, right? I have a contract with you. You should always enter into contracts with the utmost of integrity, and we all have the best of intentions of following through on everything that is in there. And so like if I need to, I have stepped out of contracts before and been like, take the rest of my payments. Actually, this is more important. It's more important that I protect my energy. Or I've been a part of like on the other end of that, where I've had clients that are like, hey, I just like can't continue. I want to be in integrity. I want to, especially when I was a people pleaser, I would be like, well, I guess we could just like stop your payments and we don't have to. And that hurt my business. And that affected like me being able to pay my team. And so having really clear contracts is also my favorite thing, because then I get to go back and be like, oh, but this is the contract that we signed. So what I can do, I can't let you out of your contract right now, but what I can do is I can be flexible over here. I can, allow you to give me 30 days notice instead of this, and this, right? And it's being able to be supported by those things, those small like infrastructure things, when you're really clear
Mhm.
up front, it allows you those boundaries to be easier to hold on the back end. So another thing that I'll do is I have a welcome kit that I have all of my clients read. And my
So do
welcome kit,
I.
yes, my welcome kit, one of my favorite lines in there is, we always use kind and clear communication. If you are unable to speak kindly to our team, please take time to regulate yourself until you can. Like, so
I am gonna copy and paste that in
I'm
there. I
clear.
do not have that in there.
Yeah. We speak kindly to each
Oh,
other. You can be respectful and upset at the same time if that is how you choose.
you
But
can.
you need to regulate yourself before you come back to this conversation. And so that I
That's
don't
so
ever have to
good.
tell anyone that, but it shifted something. When people read that, you're a
Mhm.
little bit more like firm up front. Then the people that, number one, are going to step all over your boundaries are the ones that are going to be thrown off by that. You don't want them anyway. And number
Correct.
two,
If that's a red flag to
yeah.
somebody, it should be a red flag to you.
Exactly, and it makes it so easy that you're like, "I'm not just, like, pulling this out of nowhere. I'm not just" right? Like, we established this, we agreed to this, and now, like, we can both move forward in, like, a really good partnership. So I think that clarity piece up front is also really helpful.
So good.
Yeah.
What are some key financial principles, like paying yourself first,
Mhm.
that entrepreneurs really need to implement during this growth cycle? Everyone talks like, why is everyone talking about scaling? I just want to put it out there for anybody who's like listening now. Every business goes through stages:
Yeah.
entrepreneur, solopreneur stage. Once you get past that year, it's a different business.
Mm.
Once you get past a couple more years, or you start wanting to like raising things up, scaling your business, hiring people, all of those things mean that things have to change a little bit on the back end or on the front end
Yeah.
of your business. So
Yeah, totally. And it's a different process, and it never ends, just in case you were wondering.
it does not.
Every phase is different than the phase before, and you get to keep learning forever. So it's a continuous process in that way. I think that one of the most important pieces, obviously, we don't want to do this work for free. So what I have found so often, especially when I'm coaching other agency owners, is I'm like, how much are you charging for this? And they're like, $1,000. And I'm like, why? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay. So
Lots of work
we've
there.
gotta start at the beginning. And I think that when you're looking at anytime I'm looking at how much I wanna personally be making, I have a few percentages that I always keep in mind. The first is I try to make sure that every package I have, it would cost me no more than 35% to deliver that service. Meaning the person, let's say somebody's writing ad copy or whatever, like in
Yeah.
order to pay for my design team, my account manager, and my ad copy, it needs to cost me 35%, because I also need to have leadership that's going to guide those people, because I don't want to be in delivery. That's going to cost me another 15%. So at that point, I'm at 50% of whatever it is that it's going to cost me to deliver that service needs to
Yeah.
be 50% of what it is, whatever it is that I'm totally charging. And then that additional 50% on top not only gives me great profit, but also enables me to have wiggle room to surprise and delight my clients. And that is something I think people forget about, especially in service-based industries, is like, what happens if what your client really needs is a landing page rebuild and they can't afford it? What happens if they really need some additional time, strategy time with your team? And like, how do you do that? What do you do? And building that in, building an overly aggressive profit percentages has kept us profitable, like even at scale, even at their $2+ million that we're at now, like has kept us incredibly profitable and still allowed us to create an amazing client experience, which is the guiding principle of everything that we're always doing, is how do we
The
deliver
most important.
this service with integrity and like in a way that just makes clients feel really good and really supported. And of course, creating results and whatever, but we're all focused around the client experience. And if you are too like narrow on those projected profit margins, what you're doing is taking money out of your pocket to pay for that thing that's going to surprise and delight them that may or may not keep them. But if I'm giving from an abundant place of like, I actually know that I have enough, then surprise and delight, if you're doing that with an energy of like, oh, I'm so mad I have to do this, and it's not helpful, right? So if I'm truly able to like give you that extra thing out of a place of abundance, it just, wow, it changes everything. And so those
There's
are
it makes you feel better. Like as an
exactly,
owner, right?
yeah,
A founder owner, money is always a thing you have to think about. The
yes,
way that you've set it up is
hmm,
that you don't have to think about it. You
yeah,
already thought about it ahead of time
yeah,
and you get to just do your job.
hmm,
That's brilliant.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's really good. All right. Scaling often leads to burnout for
Mm,
many business owners. I went through it myself. I don't know any business owner that hasn't. What strategies have you found that are most effective for avoiding it or lessening it?
When I was burnt out, when I was my peak of burnout, I would get these ocular migraines like every day, where like my vision would just go blurry at like 2 o'clock every afternoon, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. It was awful, and I think that I kept wanting to plan something, but everything got in the way. I was like, I'm going to take a few weeks off, but everything kept getting in the way and getting in the way and getting in the way. And I would say that when you're talking about burnout and when you're talking about protecting you as the resource in your business, there's never going to be a perfect time. So we've got to actually build in spaciousness for you, even when you think it's unnecessary. So, for example, I don't take calls on Fridays, and like, could I? Yeah, of course I could, but
If
like,
there was an emergency, you
right.
could fit it in, but it's as a general rule, that's how
Mhm.
you're guarding your time.
Yeah, exactly. And so what that means is that I now have a day where I can be like, I actually am so tired I can't get out of bed today, like whatever, like that happens.
No, yes.
Yeah. And so to be able to just not overly pack your schedule just because you can do it does not mean that you should. And so building in those buffers, it's the same principle as like my profitability pattern is like, I
Yeah.
want to have more than enough time to do this. And if I don't, this year I've been planning a launch for our coaching business over and over and over again. And I kept moving it because I was like, this is stressful. I'm not doing it. This is stressful. I'm not doing it. This is stressful. I'm not
By
doing
the
it.
way,
And I
by the
got
way,
there.
if you move things, if you push things back, that is a great sign that
Great
you need
sign.
to get on that calendar.
Yes.
Because seriously.
Yeah. And I was just like, it doesn't feel good. And even letting myself be okay with the fact that it just doesn't feel good. There are things and other opportunities that came up that I wanted to prioritize instead of that. And that actually is okay. And I'm not going to look people in the face and be like, this is how you run an agency without burning out, and then be burnt out trying to put on that event. I'm not doing it. It's a choice
Yes.
actually. And I think that one of my mentors taught me about this thing. It's one of my favorite guiding principles, which is it's about your relationship to the test. So if I were to give you a test on how much do you value yourself, the answer to that would be the way that you take the test. Are you going through each answer and like really thinking it through carefully? Are you coloring in so each little bubble and circle? Are you moving really fast? Are you doing check marks and scratches? How are you taking the test? That's actually where you perceive your value to be, right? And so anytime that there is a situation that's coming up in your business, it's not about that. It's not about the client that wants a refund or it's about your relationship to it. And when I started looking at my relationship to it, I realized that 90% of my stress was me not being willing to not be perfect.
To not be, yeah, you not, yes,
Yeah.
you not wanting to do it because you didn't feel like you were going to give 100%.
Right. Or not wanting it to be anything but perfect. So not letting a not perfect thing go out, which meant that I was working 18 hours a day when really I could have gotten that done in 12. And like today, even my business partner was like, hey, there's this image on our new website. We're launching new branding. And she was like,
Yeah.
the squares aren't lined up on desktop. And I was like, is this going to actually change somebody's perception of our brand? And how many people are looking at our website on desktop anyway? And she was like, I don't know. I honestly thought I was doing this because I thought you would be upset about it. And I was like,
And
I'm
you're right, but I'm not today.
yeah, I was like, I'm actually choosing something different. Like I'm making a different choice in my relationship to this that like I love that picture of myself. And in order to get the kerning right on the thing, I would
Yeah.
have to change my picture. And that's not the best use of my time. I don't want to do that. So like
Mm-mm.
we're going to move forward and it's going to not be perfect. You know, sometimes I'll say it's not just good, it's good enough. It is good
Yes.
enough. We will
Done,
keep it
done
moving.
is better than perfect.
Yeah. And so much stress was actually created internally because I wanted it to be perfect instead of being open to it just being like what it is and like the authenticity of like even announcing I just posted a reel today announcing the acquisition of this company, and I messed up in the middle of it. And I was like, I'm not going to re-record that. Like that was I'm like, it's not a good use of my time. And so it's about, I would always ask people in the most loving way possible, like, how can you re-examine the pressure you're putting on yourself and take responsibility for structuring that differently? You committed to all of these calls on your calendar. You decided that you were going to work 18 hours a day. How can you change that? You are the machine behind your business. Like without you, it doesn't work. And so like you get to radically protect your time and radically speak up for your needs because like you have to.
Love that. Okay. As we're getting ready to wrap things up,
Yeah.
what are 3 things that have helped you to grow your business? Tools, advice, literally anything. But what are 3 things that you can think of right now that truly helped you to grow your business?
My first answer is going to be a little bit obvious given my expertise, but the first thing is ads. We found an ad funnel that allows my social media to just be social. Like I just post on there when I want what I want. And so it gets to be very authentic. It's incredible because it's driven by ads. It's actually a machine that is dependable, that we can count on, that we can scale up and scale down. And finding that a lot of people get into ads and they're like, I want to come in and I want to have return right away. I would offer a different mindset of ads can be a machine inside of your business if it's created properly. And if you have it's almost like the guts to stick with it until you find something that works. We will find something, but sometimes we need a little bit more time. Sometimes we need to finesse the messaging. Sometimes, and if you are committed to it being a arm of your business, it will give back to you tenfold if once you can identify what that is. So that would be my first. I would say that 90% of growing our company came from our ads funnel. It's great. And, we teach
Amazing.
other people how to do it now because it's such a valuable tool and every business owner needs to have something like that that
Mhm.
doesn't require their energy to go out and get clients.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That'd be my first one. My
Okay.
second tool that I think really helped me grow and scale. Okay, this isn't actually a tool. This is just
It doesn't matter.
a
Tool,
state of being.
advice, anything.
Yeah, this
Great.
is a state of being. I am stubborn. That's another thing. There are so many times, there were times in my business when I couldn't pay myself and I had to pay my team and I had to make difficult decisions. But my tenacity of this is not it. This is not what we're doing. We're not sitting down. We're not giving up. We're going to keep going. I wasn't successful in my business right away. I think my first year I made like $17,000 in the year. Like, and I wasn't, there are people that start their business and in the first year they hit 300,000. That was not
That was
me.
not me.
And so like it actually is okay to just keep going. And I think that 90% of business success is just continuing to try when everybody else has given up. And so
Tenacity.
that
Grit.
tenacity.
Grit. I love the word grit.
I
Mhm.
like grit too. Grit
It's
also
good.
reminds me of like a rocky road. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
it's like I imagine like a car tire on rocks. It's like so gritty. Like I don't know, like very like
Or somebody on a motorcycle. Just
right.
like, yeah, like
Yeah.
I don't care what everybody
Yeah.
else thinks. I'm doing it my own way.
Yeah.
You need that.
You
for
do.
sure.
Yeah. And the third thing, I think it was my time as an intern with my aunt. My aunt was an EOS implementer. And so some of my very first business experience, I was being brought into like leadership, like corporate, like CEO, C-suite rooms and hearing the discussions of how they're structuring multi-million dollar businesses, and that opportunity of understanding that actually nobody has it figured out is the real joke. No one knows what they're doing. What
It's
gave
testing.
me
It's all testing with
Yeah.
ads, with marketing, with everything. You've got to be able to play and test.
Yeah. And so the entrepreneurial operating system as a structure to run your business gave me almost I would say it gave me more scaffolding instead of a blueprint, where I was like, if I can hit these things, I can play inside of there and still know that this is going to move forward. And it allowed me to be like, I think, more creative than if I was following somebody else's, like, this is how you do it. And so I think that opportunity was incredible. But the entrepreneurial operating system, if you haven't read Traction by Gino Wickman, that book is
Yes.
really, it's just really brilliant. And it had such an impact in shaping the way that I viewed my business and the way that I like structured everything.
I love that book too.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. Okay, before we get to the gift that you're sharing, tell everyone how somebody can work with you. If they're sitting here and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I need that ad system.
Yeah.
Like I need that system."
Right.
How can people work with you?
There are three ways that you can work with us. The first is the Ad Girls Agency, where we will do the ads for you and get that system set up for you and all of that. We also have a coaching company where we teach our ad system and the way that we run our business. And it's like everything from our Asana to our email templates to clients. It's the whole thing. So if you own an agency, that's a really great way that you can work with us. And then the final way is our newest company, Easy Scaling, where we will run your business for you so that you can focus on doing the things that you love. You don't have to go out and hire your contractors or find a team. You can find me on Instagram, Courtney.Tarrant, and I'm happy to chat with you. All the links are in there to all the different websites and all the things.
All right, tell everyone what your freebie is and how it will help them.
Yes. Okay. So, one of the things that I wanted to create was a free way that people could really look at how much money do I need to make to live the life that I want to live, and what does that mean for my business? So, we created a free calculator where you get to plug in how many hours a week do you want to work, how many team do you want to have, how much money do you want to bring home, and it sort of spits out, this is how much revenue you need to be bringing in, this is what your team would need to look like, this is how much your costs would need to be. It's like pretty cool. I think it's
Sounds amazing.
incredibly useful to even just be like, okay, this is what I'm thinking. Like, and you get to play around with the numbers and things. And so you can get that at theadgirls.com/free calculator. And you'll get to kind of play around and see like, what should you be building? Because like no one can know that except for you. And so let's create your own unique structure, your own unique pathway of getting there for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the glory of owning your own business is you get to decide that. But
Exactly.
sometimes that's also the hard part of owning a business. So that calculator sounds super valuable. Thank you so much for your time today and
Yeah.
also for your advice. But your time is money. So we do definitely appreciate that. And if you guys listening or watching found some ideas and tips that you can implement into your business, we would love for you to leave a review. Now go out there and snag that calculator. All right. Thanks so much.